the next thing, a little bit of a tip on how to get started on an imaginative piece if you're struggling, because what I always found, so to be honest, I am not one who loved imaginative writing, because the hardest bit of it for me was coming up with an idea. I'm pretty sure most of you will be in the same sort of situation. Once you have an idea for an imaginative piece, you guys can write it and it will be 100% fine. It'll turn out really well. But coming up with an idea is the hardest part for an imaginative text, especially when you have to come up with an idea and write the whole thing in 40 minutes. So one tip that I found very helpful in approaching any Module C question and coming up with an imaginative idea is just looking at the question and picking a universal theme. So if I want to pick love, I can pick love. I can pick power. I can pick autonomy. I can pick alienation. These sort of universal themes that you have been studying all throughout year 12. Pick a universal idea and then think about, what do you want to say about this idea? So let me write this down. So pick a universal idea and reflect on what you want to say about this idea. So this actually should be quite simple, because you've spent your whole year studying a bunch of texts, studying these universal ideas, and you've spent your time coming up with theses and paragraphs and lines of argument on these ideas. Say for something like, power, maybe in one of your essays you're arguing that power has the ability to corrupt one's sense of self, right? So that's an argument you've taken in your essay. Now you look at your particular Module C question, you're like, what do I write about this? And you think about, okay, maybe I could write a piece that's relating to the theme of power. What do I want to say about power? Well, I want to say that power has the ability to corrupt one's mind. And then you've got your idea of a piece. So like I've been saying today, draw upon your knowledge of the text that you have been studying all year, because that is really going to be your ticket to success in Module C, drawing upon your knowledge from other rubrics. And especially I'm going to emphasize Common Module here, because Common Module, you not only studied your texts, if it was 1984, The Crucible, Merchant of Venice, whatever it was, but you studied the actual ideas of the human condition. You studied human qualities, emotions, behaviors, individual, collective experiences, and you studied it very specifically like that to answer all your unseen texts. So bring in that knowledge over here. What is a universal idea that you want to cover? Do you want to cover a collective experience, an individual experience, something like that? And then reflect upon, what is your own opinion on this particular idea? So let me give you an example. If I want to cover the universal idea of love, right? Okay, so the generic way of writing a story about love is like saying something along the lines of like, love has the ability to bring people together. However, I think about it, I'm like, I've chosen the universal idea of love. But what do I want to say about this idea? Well, I don't want to say the generic sort of love has the ability to bring people together. I want to say something else. I want to say that love has the ability to corrupt people and corrupt people's sense of self, corrupt people's perspective of the world, because that is sort of the opinion I've formed over studying my texts over the last year. So I've got my universal idea. I've got what I want to say about this idea. Now I can just sort of populate that idea with characters, right? So maybe I want to construct a story about a devoted housewife that goes through sort of a repetitive cycle of like everyday life, where she's like cooking and cleaning, but she loves her family. She's very devoted to her husband. She's devoted to her children. But then one day, something happens, like maybe something like an egg falls on the floor and it cracks open, and she suddenly is hit with the realization that she wants to run away from home. And so she gets up and she runs away from home all of a sudden in a blink of a second. So I've constructed now, in a matter of like 20 seconds, a story about love. And what am I saying about love? I'm saying love has the ability to corrupt, because even though she loved her husband, she loved her children, she forsaked her own sense of self, her own identity for this love. And in that sense, love corrupted who she was, and it corrupted her own identity. And because of that, she just felt like she needed to escape. So within a mere matter of seconds, I've constructed a story to go along with this universal idea. So hopefully that is a little tip that will help you in approaching questions and coming up with ideas in case you guys really struggle with that.